Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. We're your source for market intelligence, forecasts, and success strategies. This segment is brought to you by Build Out, your best marketing for your brokerage. Visit buildout.com. We have an incredible show for you today. We're going to talk about trends in construction and in development around the U.S. And construction has certainly been booming in a lot of markets. There's been some challenges with labor. There's been some challenges with cost. We have economic changes going on in the world, in the U.S., with our president. What's going to happen moving forward? Well, we'll find out more in this show. Please welcome my first guest, Anirban Basu. He's the economic advisor for the Construction Financial Management Association. He's joining us on the phone. Anirban, thanks for joining us.
My privilege to be with you. Thank you.
And let's talk about cost to start with. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. So what are you seeing for construction cost trends around the U.S. today?
Like many things, construction is becoming more expensive to deliver. The pressures are coming from a variety of sources, but first and foremost is labor, compensation costs. Actually, construction employment is much lower than it was before the Great Recession, but so many people left the industry permanently during that economic downturn. So few people have come back relative to the number that left, and so we find ourselves with an incomplete recovery and yet not enough workers. This is particularly true in the skilled trades, electricians, carpenters, welders, other categories, and so compensation costs are on the rise. And that's not going to change anytime soon because the industry continues to face a wave of retirement. We are starting to also see some construction material cost inflation as well. Materials costs are lower than they were a few years ago. It's true. Commodity prices are lower than they were a few years ago. Things like steel and iron ore, oil and natural gas are very far from their peak prices of a few years ago, let's say in 2014 and before that in 2008. But still there has been some recovery in those costs, and so we're starting to see materials prices rise on a year-over-year basis for the first time in about 2 years.
So you expect this to continue moving forward into 17, 18, and beyond?
I certainly would expect compensation costs to continue to rise, again, because not that many young people are entering the construction trade. There is this mantra out there suggesting that the pathway to the middle class is via the collegiate route. And certainly colleges contribute a lot to construction by creating construction superintendents, estimators, and other professionals that work in the construction industry, of course accountants as well, the kinds of people associated with CFMA, the Construction Financial Management Association. But there's a lot of folks who don't need a college degree to work in construction. Their training is through apprenticeship programs or on the job. And not a lot of people are looking for those types of opportunities. This is not unique to construction, parenthetically. America is home to 5.6 million job openings, roughly a record high. There are a lot of industries that are struggling with skill shortfalls, but construction is at the vanguard of suffering the most. And that's not going to change in the next couple of years. We will see a wave of retirements, and so I would expect those costs to rise. With respect to materials costs, whether natural gas or diesel fuel or copper, iron, and so on and so forth, that's anyone's guess. We know that the global economy remains weak, that commodity prices remain under pressure, that despite efforts by OPEC and others to keep oil prices high, oil prices continue to be relatively low relative to historic norms. And I'm not sure that's going to change significantly. On the other hand, I don't expect materials prices to be nearly as low as they were, let's say, throughout much of 2015.
Well, it's interesting because construction costs sure has a large impact on the commercial real estate industry, not only in the new construction, but on tenant build out and everywhere we turn. And the president is talking about a lot of infrastructure development in the U.S. How's that going to impact all of us?
Well, of course, it depends upon the nature of an infrastructure-led stimulus package, and one could imagine a scenario in which such a package is ultimately not implemented. But there seems to be bipartisan support for an infrastructure-led stimulus package. The president, of course, has tossed around a few numbers, actually, but $1 trillion is the most common number, but he suggested that it could be even larger than that. There's some skepticism regarding that because the nation also has a $20 trillion national debt. But we have an economy that continues to approach full employment. We already don't have enough construction workers, and that would put further strains on the construction workforce. So if there's going to be an infrastructure-led stimulus package, it actually needs to be coupled with a stepped-up training agenda. More investment into apprenticeship programs, more vocational training or career and technical education within our high schools, stepped-up investment in our community colleges, to try to create the construction workforce that we need to support the industry and to support the improvements that we need in our built environment. And that built environment, of course, includes the infrastructure component. So a lot of promise here. There's clearly a demand for more infrastructure investment. In fact, if you look at various publicly financed categories of construction, like sewage and waste disposal, transportation, public safety, water supply, and highway and street investment, all of those segments have seen reductions in construction spending over the past year. So if you thought that we were underinvesting in the nation's infrastructure a year ago, we're spending even less now. Mm-hmm. So, there is bipartisan support for such a package, and it does make sense.
Yeah, and I like your point about needing more education. My son is in high school, or he's a senior in high school. And when I went to high school, I took drafting, I took woodworking. I was in there building furniture and things, and there was none of that in his high school. And it's no wonder that we have a shortage of people in this and labor in this industry. And then we have immigration. It changes. So how might immigration changes with our new president challenge, or is there any benefit to labor issues here?
Well, a couple of things there. First, with respect to high school, when the mantra is to get kids to graduate by passing standardized tests, and if the tests involve mathematics and reading, one is not going to pull out a student from math class in order to have them take a shop class or a drafting class or a furniture making class. And so those things have been removed from curricula across the nation. Many of the construction firm owners that I know, people who in many cases were wealthy by their late 20s, said that they began to appreciate their love of construction when they took shop class in high school.
Yeah,
there isn't shop class in high school often.
I know, there isn't.
And so those folks have not looked in construction for opportunities, and so here we are with an industry that's not completely recovered, whether residential construction or non-residential, and still where there are structural shortfalls, and with very rapidly rising compensation costs. I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon, and it's unfortunate. Americans complain, of course, about the pressure on the middle class and lack of middle-income jobs, but there are tens of thousands of middle-income jobs in construction that go begging every day, whether, again, electricians, carpenters, welders, and many, many others, heating and air conditioning professionals. And it's too bad. And that could be an area where, things could really come together. Your second point was about immigration. So during the construction booms of the mid-2000s, let's say 2004, 2005, 2006, which was largely a residential construction boom, of course, a lot of immigrant labor was utilized, some of it legal, some of it illegal. Suddenly, over time, more pressure has been placed upon employers not to use that kind of worker. That continues, of course. The pressure to not use that type of worker has been stepped up. And as a result, guess what? The construction skill shortages are going to worsen. That doesn't mean it's not good public policy to deal with immigration that way. That's people's personal opinion about how they think immigration should be dealt with from a public policy perspective. But the fact of the matter is a lot of immigrants have worked in construction and agriculture and in many other industries, And to the extent that those folks do not feel comfortable coming out of the shadows to work in these industries, it means that costs are going to rise.
Yeah, it's going to have a big impact. Anirban, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being on the show.
Anytime. Take care.
And for more information, visit CFMA.org. Stay tuned with us. We'll have more on the construction and development trends around the country. I'm Michael Bull. This is America's Commercial Real Estate Show. Hey there, thanks for checking out the Commercial Real Estate Show. Don't miss a video of special interest to you. Be sure to subscribe below. And if you appreciate the videos, be sure and thank our sponsors. There's a link to more information about them in the description. For more videos, podcasts, and articles, check out CREshow.com.